Well, here we are at PAX on day 2. Is it 2 or 3? I forget. It's Saturday.
Still one more to go.
There is so much happening. I'm with Matthew Dunstan. Hi, Matthew.
Hi.
Great to meet you. You're a bit of a game designer.
I am a bit of a game designer.
I own Elysium.
Oh, well.
Which is not that Matt Damon film, but it's that great card game. I was really attracted by the components in that. So you've done a few other games, including collaborations with Phil Walker Harding, I've noticed. What got you into game design in the first place?
I think I always like tinkering with what's behind things. For example, when I was in play sports, I always wanted to do refereeing. I was like a lines person at the Australian Open. I always like to kind of see behind the curtain.
Yep.
And I think for board games, that's board game designing. You want to see like how the sausage is made.
Okay.
And the nice thing about board games is you can just kind of make one. You can put things on a bit of paper, some dice, and play it. It doesn't have the sort of same barrier maybe as, say, making a video game or something like that.
Sure.
And yeah, I started making games, and you find a bit of a community, find some other people to play with. I moved to the UK and found some other designers, and that really helped having... I co-design a lot with people, and for me, not only is it a bit more social, it helps you progress in design. You get better at it, you work with someone with complementary skills. And then, over time, I've been fortunate enough to have publishers pick up games and be able to keep making games. And now I do it full time, which is great.
And some of the so Costa Rica is another one of yours, I think. What I like about your designs is they're very clean. Obviously, that collaboration or that working through with other people makes them click, I suppose. And obviously, Phil Walker Harding's another guy who does that. All the faff's been cut out. It's very streamlined.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of games you like to play?
Yes, in part. I would be happy playing every game in existence at least once. I think I just want to try everything. I do have some favorites. Weirdly enough, I probably go towards games like Elysium. That kind of game of my designs is the closest to my own favorite style to play. But I think with design, I worked a lot with Brett Gilbert, who was the co-designer of Elysium and Costa Rica, and he especially is very focused on that kind of elegance, I guess, of like having exactly what you need in a game and nothing more. And actually, over time, designing in that way, I think is also easier because you don't have to worry about 1,500 different components and how these different things interact. You just need to have this core system which works, is engaging, and that people can understand fairly quickly, and you can get in and have a great game, 30 to 45 minutes, and then you're done. So I guess it is sort of a style I have now, and yeah, I just find it easy. I have great respect for anyone who's able to design these kind of... I see Arc Nova, for example, on the table next to us. Yep. Amazing respect to be able to do that.
That's what came to my head when I thought of Elysium and the games you might like to play. Arc Nova, I love Arc Nova.
I don't know if I could say... I thought I would love it. I haven't quite got to the love, unfortunately. Like, for example, one of my favorites is Race for the Galaxy. It's probably like my favorite. But yeah, so anything with kind of special card powers and things. But designing those games is a real feat, I think, to do that. Absolutely.
That's okay. You're allowed to be wrong. So that's fine.
I think this interview is over.
So you're very kindly going to show us perspectives.
Yes.
Dave, Neil, and yourself.
Yeah, so that's another different collaboration. So Dave is an incredibly talented narrative game designer.
Yep.
For example, designed the latest Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective box.
Right.
And I had the fortune to work with him on this, and we've worked on a couple of other projects. It's a narrative, cooperative communication game, in a way. In the box, you have 3 different scenarios or cases, and in each of them there's a mystery that we're effectively trying to solve together. The game plays 2 to 6 players, takes about 90 minutes for each case, and there are 3 in the box. Each case works in roughly the same way. You get a little envelope which has 4 acts in it. I've taken the first act out of this.
Yep.
You open a start at Act 1 and you have a short introduction into the mystery. For example, in this one, which is the Buena Vista, From Buena Vista with Love, is a murder mystery where someone has shot the ambassador in Buena Vista. And we basically start the mystery at that point. He's been shot, we get a little introduction to that, some details, and it ends with a question, who shot the ambassador? Then inside the little folio are 12 cards, which are numbered, and these are dealt out evenly amongst all the players.
Right.
So obviously with higher player counts, you'll have fewer cards each. There's a set order in which they're dealt out. Then we get to look at our cards, And effectively the only rule in the game is that we cannot directly show our cards to any of the other players.
Okay.
But you can freely communicate it, that you can read out of them, you can describe them, you can act, whatever you like. And we need to communicate to each other what we can see to piece together those pieces of information to work out, in this case, who shot the ambassador.
Okay, yep.
And then you'll discuss, if you're a little bit stuck, you can reveal one card out of your hand for everyone to see. But that's a negative point in the scoring at the end. And then when you think that you've kind of worked out the solution, on the back of the folio are 4 questions which you need to answer. The last question is always the main question, and the other ones are kind of leading up to that to help you kind of, hopefully you've managed to work it out. And then once you're done, you open it up, and there you have the solution. You check whether you answered the questions correctly. There's a full solution that shows you how the bits of information would have pieced together.
Yep.
Once you get that, you then pack away all those cards for that first act, and then you do Act 2, which is following on from that. Act 3, and the final act, there are no new cards, but instead you take all 36 cards from the first 3 acts, put them face up on the table, and then there's a final mystery to kind of solve amongst all those cards.
Okay.
And that's one case, and that's how perspectives work. And as I said, there are 3 different cases that come in the box. One other kind of cool thing is that you can even learn the game from the box itself. So there's a short little booklet when you open the box, which has like a 1-act mystery, effectively. And instead of having cards, you have the different sides of the box. So we would hold it between us, and then you would be describing what you see on your side, I would describe what I'm seeing. Or you know, if it were 2 of us, you could see 2 sides, I would see 2. And again, it's the same thing of just, so you can effectively learn it very quickly the moment you open. There's effectively no rules, straight in and play. Yeah, and they've done, I mean, Space Cowboys, who was the publisher of Elysium, you spoke about kind of like the quality of publishing, and they've done an amazing job. There are 3 different artists for each case. They have different style. One is by Vincent Dutrait, who
I love Vincent.
but also 2 have more worked in comics and video games, Anne and Seb and Lucky, kind of from France. So each of the cases has not only obviously a different story, different part of the world, different kind of crime, but also has that real different visual identity. And you can imagine that such a game is also, there's so much in how the illustrations are produced. You know, that's the whole mystery. So that kind of attention to detail, making sure that certain pieces of information are, you know, you can tell what they are, but maybe you don't know them immediately. Yep. A lot of the game is, as you play, you'll look at your cards and sort of go like, I don't know what this is, or I don't know why this might be important. And you'll talk to your fellow players and they'll go like, oh, I have this. And then suddenly you'll have that moment of like, oh, that's that, or I see how that fits in the case. And so those are the kind of moments that I was hoping to have in the game, effectively.
So I'm getting feelings of like decorum, where you've got information and you might have to share it with other people, but you can't explicitly go just here. I also see case files in here, even your own adventure games that you've done. And I'm assuming these are non-destructible. You can actually repackage them up.
And actually they've got, you know, I really like what they've done with the kind of like little folios. You just put them back in your envelope, nothing destroyed.
And share them with friends and family.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And or even play them in another couple of years when you've forgotten what was going on.
I think that's really important with games that are one playthrough. The problem with some of the escape and exit games is that's it, it's done.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, that looks a lot of fun.
And they've done a really good job also. It's mostly plastic free, in fact. Like it's all cardboard inside, which is, I think, increasingly important and things like that. So
it certainly seems to be the way. And roughly how long does each case take?
About 90 minutes, roughly.
Right, okay.
For all the, like the 4 acts together.
And are they equal complexity, or?
Roughly, but I think as with any kind of narrative game, it's a bit hard, and that's why testing them is very difficult. Like different groups will naturally fit one or the other. They're not meant to be one is way harder than the other, but in your group you'll find a natural, I'm sure, like as you've played any of these games, some of them you're like, oh wow, I found that easy, but other groups will say, no, I found that really difficult.
That's what our viewers will know. They'll know I figure this stuff out really easily, and Victor has no idea.
Okay.
But he's good with the dice.
But the thing with this game is maybe unlike a few of the other games, is that everyone has important information. Everyone needs to participate. And if somebody's sitting there not just communicating what they have in their hand, then you're never going to solve it. It's not somebody like one person reading a book or everyone trying to look at one image. So there's hopefully that feeling of like ownership. Like you're not just in this formless crowd of making the game. You have something always to contribute, I guess.
And you don't have to just you don't have to make stuff up. It's all there in front of you.
Exactly.
How do I share it?
Exactly.
Which a lot of people shy away from bluffing or those kinds of games where they go, oh, I don't want the attention on me. You're literally just contributing to
and you don't have to. You can obviously respond to what other people are saying, and a lot of the game is obviously you can't describe everything. How do you describe an image? And so it's like which piece of information you share, and you've got the time to figure that out. It's hopefully it's that sort of shared. It's the kind of this imaginary space amongst the players where we're kind of building this shared understanding of what's going on in our minds, and I always think that's kind of a fun thing as that's kind of forming during the game, which is a lot of fun.
Well, that looks like a lot of fun. Who's the publisher?
So it's with Space Cowboys.
Space Cowboys.
It's released worldwide, I think, later this month or in 1 week. There are some copies, I think, for sale here.
I'll be getting one, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Just what's coming up next for you? How many designs are you currently working on?
A lot of things. Well, obviously this was a big thing sort of trying to come out. I think I also have a small company myself called Postmark Games. We do print and home games.
Yeah.
We just had a Kickstarter for that. So, and we're making more games around that, like single, A4 page you print at home and play,
Awesome.
which is also fun, and we're doing a lot with that. I think, nothing else I could sort of think about. It's always, you never know what's been announced or what. Yeah.
Oh, of course, because you're not in charge of it all.
No, and you don't want to sort of ruin, like publishers put a lot of work into how they release a game and market it. You don't want to ruin that work, so I try not to step on too many toes.
Awesome. So thanks, Matthew Dunstan, for your time. That was really interesting. Check out Perspectives from Space Cowboys. Looks like a lot of fun.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
No worries.
Hey, you down there. Make sure you subscribe to the Tabletop Nights. And here, watch this if you want to see another video by us. See ya.